Yeah, that's right. I think I can. Yeah, I would probably just abstain, but I'll be able to vote. I'll be abstaining actually, but sure they can vote.
She can vote now?
She can vote, yeah. Okay, and a small. Just adding to this roll call. Thank you.
Are we still interested
That's what I'm reading out now. I think we can, right? Should we read off for it? Okay, this is the agenda for tonight. Do we have any motions on the floor to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Any seconds? Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, the agenda for tonight has been approved. Moving on to the meeting minutes for tonight. This I'm sorry.
Just a quick thing. I'm pretty sure you have to like sign into WebEx on the computer that you have, and you have to share your screen so we can see the agenda and everything we're looking at.
Thank you so much. Oh, you can't see anything.
Yeah, so just sign in to WebEx through the computer that's on where you are right now, and make sure you just share your screen too.
Thank you so much for reminding me.
Mm-hmm. And that will also help you see what the chat responses from Nicola, me, and Aya are. So.
Can you see my screen, Shruti?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
It's
I'm sorry.
It's
It's good now. Oh, it's not good now.
No, it doesn't.
I think you probably should be.
No, Sarah turned the volume off on there.
Oh, gotcha. Are we good now?
Should be.
We can
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on to, are we good with that, Tori?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So moving on to the meeting minutes for tonight, this was included in the agenda, but just for transparency's sake, we're going to go through them. Any motions on the floor to approve the meeting minutes from November 2nd? Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, the meeting minutes from November 2nd, 2021 have been approved. And before we move on to new business, I just want to make 2 points of clarifications. One is, so we're going to be changing Robert's rule a bit. We're going to have 5 minutes for periods of discussions. So if somebody, so we're going to be, at the end of 5 minutes, we're going to move on. But if someone wants to kind of extend the period of discussion, they can make that motion. But we're going to make sure to kind of be time sensitive and move on after 5 minutes. Is that okay? Point of order, sorry.
No, I'm asking.
Oh, yes, sir.
Or point of clarification, sorry. This is to make sure we're actually reviewing every single thing that we're talking about, as you should be. We don't want to repeat of last week where we're not even talking about the event that is in front of us and voting on not knowing what you're voting on. Majority of every request tonight has something that will either need to be tweaked or addressed, so keep that in mind. Additionally, if we don't need a full 5 minutes, someone can move to end the discussion for 5 minutes, but that has to be voted on like a regular motion.
Yes.
So what everyone is saying is that each discussion is going to last 5 minutes. If no one asks to extend it or shorten it, you're going for 5 minutes and then we'll.
But there needs to be a motion made. And also, if you want to speak, just please make sure to be called on by the board. We want to make sure that people aren't talking upon each other and we have that set of order, as Tori just perfectly demonstrated for us. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to new business, our first request of the night is UMBC Anime Society. So, do we have a representative from Anime Society? Yeah. Hi, thank you so much for being here. Can you please introduce yourself, your name, pronouns, and a bit about your request?
Sure. Hello, so my name is Paul Bacone. I'm the president of the UMBC Anime Society. And our request, for this time is for RetrieverCon, which is UMBC's sort of own anime convention. We've been doing this since, I believe, 2013. And, sort of we've been trying to make it bigger and better every time, especially recently. So the last time we had an in-person RetrieverCon, we had, I think, probably around 200 attendees, and it was a great experience. And so we hope to serve UMBC's undergraduate student body by sort of providing the experience of an anime convention for maybe students who might not usually have the opportunity to go to one, or even for students who go to conventions regularly, to sort of bring them together, create a sort of bolster the community and create an amazing event. And so that's sort of the gist of the treatment plan.
Thank you so much. Do we have any motions on the floor? Thank you. Any seconds?
I second.
Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion on Anime Society's budget, semesterly budget request. Ms. Mont?
So the only question that I have about the application, was the number of non-UMBC students that were attending the event? And I was asking like, if we were allowed to fund all of them, or is it gonna be partial thing?
Tori?
So whenever there are non-UMBC students, you just don't count that in the max that you're allowed to fund. So since there, I believe the number is 120 for undergrad attendance, yes. So we would take 120 times 33, that is the max, which we are over the max that can be funded for this. The max based on the 120 that can be funded is $3,960. The total is for $4,500. Same thing with food. The food's fine on this one, but the 120 times 15, which is the current allowance for lunch in the state of Maryland. That number changed every year. All of New Jersey have meals in the past couple of years. But that is how we come up with the board event total.
Imani?
Then that's all in this application. Looks pretty good. Besides like the food bank and it has the advertising, which is good. Yeah, it looks like it's on like the platform.
We're here.
So it's up to 30 minutes.
Devin?
The max for common vision is, and just a reminder for everyone to speak very loudly and project. I'm having trouble hearing everyone right now, so I can only imagine on WebEx, but the max for common vision that you all find is 250 because that is the largest package from Common Vision. They're asking for 2.
We're here.
We don't have to decide what gets cut with. We do. Does anyone have any suggestions?
Imani?
As for what is cut, the only reason from my student is the food money, right, to be under control of the world. The invoice said, once everything was closed.
Sure.
A suggestion would be to ask Paul, who is here,
Yes.
as far as what they can take cuts from for $558.
Let's see. I think maybe some of the tables and also let me see. Um, entertainment contract, maybe, let me see. We can, clarification, we can still submit a readjustment for readjusting the, what we'll allocate to different things after this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the tables would come from ECS then, are those your rentals?
Yeah.
Okay. Rentals are $82.50. And then, what else did you say, Tom?
Maybe the entertainment contract,
That's $270.
and maybe for now, let's take the rest from the food, and we might do some reallocation. But
So that would be. It'd be 201 for food.
okay,
For one for food.
Yeah, we would take away 201 for food.
Seeing that it's been 5 minutes, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'd motion to end for your discussion.
Would you like to extend it or we'll end it? Okay. Any seconds? Any other motions?
That's it.
Second. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, the period of discussion has ended. Any other motions on the floor?
I'm going to enter into a period of voting.
Thank you, Fiona. Any seconds? Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now under voting for Anime Society's masculine budget request. Tori, just for clarification, what is the full amount that we will be able to fund for?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Take your time, no worries. So just a reminder, please.
3,960.
Any cents or no?
Nope.
Perfect, thank you. So now that we're in a period of voting, all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hand. Sorry, mute please. 7, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. One abstaining, me, present, one's not present. It's still a majority vote, so we get. One, congratulations, this legislation has passed. This one, if someone can walk you out and give you some future direction. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
Okay. Right, moving on to our next request of the night, we have International Justice Mission at UBC. Do we have a representative for IJM?
There is somebody out there, but I don't.
Son, can you check if you have a representative for the National Justice Mission with us?
No, I've already talked to him. He's from the cyber defense.
Gotcha, thank you so much. I don't think there's anyone online present for the National Justice Mission, so we can move on to the request itself. Any motions on the floor?
Probably.
Thank you. Any seconds?
That's something.
Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in period of discussion for International Justice Mission's request. Goodbye.
Two things. The first one is that all these events still have to abide by the rules of being on UBC, my UBC page to be advertised.
Yes.
Okay. And okay, that's one thing for this application. The other one was they requested $200 for food and drinks, but in the application, they said they didn't. They weren't serving food. So I was a little confused about that.
It's a good point. It's like the same concern that I've had also.
Can I be recognized?
Yes, Ruthie. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the chat.
Sorry, I just like didn't know if you were checking the chat. But I guess my 2 cents about that is they requested no food because it said they didn't want any food, but they could request drinks because looking at like the context of the event, it would make sense if they're requesting drinks because it's like a run or like a walk or whatever. So they could be using the money for drinks, and that's why it said no food.
Give it seconds.
Could I be recognized again?
Yes, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go on.
Another thing to like keep in mind for this request is that there isn't really a place that it's taking, or they've like suggested that it's taking place. It's a run, so I'm assuming it's like outdoors, but like, is there any sort of like request or reservation or ECS related stuff that they have to go through if they're gonna hold it somewhere on campus? Like, do they have to get permits or something for that? And how would they make sure that it's a safe place to run or whatever?
Tori.
They would need to go through that with ECS, however, they're not asking for ECS at all, so
Yeah.
frankly, you really wouldn't. If ECS says no, that doesn't matter based on what you funded, you know what I mean? So like that would just roll back anyway. But since they're not really asking for anything through ECS at this point, Matt didn't seem like he was concerned about it when I spoke with him, so I'm not concerned about it. That helps.
The open air.
Suki, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of had the concern that it's only 35 people, but it seems like it's only their club, so it's not really, it's like it's open to everyone, but only their club is going. So that's why I put it seems kind of like an activity within a general body meeting.
That's a good point, Tori.
Just to respond to Nicola Benea's comment, the reason I wouldn't, I'm very strict about what's GBMs and like, you know how I am with things. I'm not concerned because this is outside of their normal practices. So let's take Rubik's Cube Club for an example. It's not a real club, that's why I use it. If Rubik's Cube Club's asking for $200 so that they could sit around and solve a Rubik's Cube, yeah, that's gonna be a little more GBM and based off of their numbers, but this isn't really something that's their normal market or normal event. It's kind, and although a lot of our orgs are trying to do things that are open to everything, sometimes that's all that shows up, even though that's not what the intention is for. So kind of looking at it from that lens of who is the target audience and is this something that they would normally be doing, can kind of help with that aspect as well. Now, I will have that concern with other things tonight, but not this one.
Seeing that it's been 5 minutes, any motions on the floor?
I'll move down to take period of voting.
Any objections? Seeing any objection, you're now in a period of voting for the National Justice Mission semester budget request. Checking the chat because it's so new. But okay, so all representatives for please type. Wait, one sec. Before that, how much is the total that we're funding? Is it 400? That's mine.
Is that the one making an assumption that they're moving it from moving forward drawings or?
Yes, and common mission, right? And we're in a period of voting, so it's I guess 400. So all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hand. Does someone tally up the votes for me, please? 4, 5, 6 here. I'm so bad with math. Okay. 5 here, and then we have
It's six. It's six here.
6. Okay, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 votes together. Perfect. Standing. It's 9. All right, congratulations, International Justice Mission. You're not here, but your request has been approved tonight. So moving on, next up we have Cyber Defense Team. Any motions on the floor?
I think Dan has to be here.
Thank you so much. Hey, nice to see you again. Hey, thank you for being here. We've got some.
The chair over here and then one right here.
That was a little too intimidating.
It's 6:51.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Can you please introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, and a bit about your request when you're settled up?
Yeah, I'm Nicola. I'm from Cyber Defense Team, so. And our request, I believe, is for our CTF event that we're holding in spring. Yeah, I'm not 100% the best representative for it because the others had classes, but I think I know enough to represent us here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Any motions for the pool?
I'll move down to consent.
Any seconds?
I second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion on Cyber Defense Team's semesterly budget request for the night.
I
A little bit.
yeah, I just have a general, like, what's it called? I don't know, I forgot what they're called, but like our guidelines that we set for like our meetings and like our conduct, like please make sure to speak up when you're like listening and seconding because like online someone not being able to hear you and they can't see you know. And for like minutes, it's hard to tell these speaking times.
Thank you. And I think we really reiterated that point 5 times tonight. So please make sure be cognizant of your own. So quick discussion, any points? For the request, Imani?
You know, the question I have is, I guess more like a toy question. Are we allowed to fund equipment? Yeah, and that's all they're asking for in this, proposal, so I don't think we'll be able to fund.
Well, we're not asking for equipment, it's parts.
So
Tori?
it's considered equipment. So the equipment committee is considered anything reusable. So if you're asking for parts that are for a server and for something that would be reused over and over for your club. The finance board only funds things for specific events that are one-use, one-off items. So things that are getting disposed at the end of the night, not things that have reusability. The purpose of this is when it's bought with state funds, they have to be tracked. So the finance board does not have the capacity to fund things that they buy for every single club and check them every single semester, year, whatever that looks like, and make sure that they don't leave campus. So the items you are asking for are definitely reusable items and are considered equipment based on the board's definitions.
And you also, should you send me the chat, I just got it.
Everything's been said. I'm good.
Perfect, thank you. Paul.
Oh,
Oh.
different org.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I'll take Paul. Yeah, I believe I should say in terms of like property management, we have a set place in we have a room in the CSE department where we keep pretty much everything already managed in there. And we also, well, actually, we have contacts with the CSE department, so we could do tagging through the department actually for property stuff.
Since it's not their money, it's finance board's money. Finance board has to track it. The CFC doesn't have ownership over it. Finance board and SGA does. And it is in their budgetary policies that they do not fund equipment. So funding this would go against their policies.
We're here.
I think there is like $15 for common vision computers. So are we still on that?
That's a good point. You think, Swan?
Sorry, ask this, but like, since we weren't able to fund the equipment, like, do you guys have any other option to make the event happen?
Well, the parts would be the main approach. Funding an equivalent amount in like cloud, cloud credits for DigitalOcean or such could also work. And that would be consumable. Sorry, did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicola. Here.
What are out there?
But like cloud computing, we could just rent some computer time to, AWS or DigitalOcean or such, but then because of how we have it set up, we would definitely prefer the parts to, run that.
You know, Bennett.
I don't know much about computers. A lot of the items listed, I don't know what they are, but since it is a virtual event, would it be possible to just hold it on a regular virtual platform and maybe use a like a secondary website to host some of these, and then we can just find another common vision, or is that not possible?
Well, it's a CTF, so it's all, I'll gloss over it, but it's all like custom program stuff. So we do kind of need to have our own. We can run up the cloud. It would be a lot better running out our own hardware, hence the request for parts. And I should say that the parts are associated with this one event.
So like, you're saying like someone with like if my computer, I could log into like a login call and participate is what you're saying? Like you have to
Yeah,
have certain equipment to participate in these there.
Yeah, you could. We spin up a website and then you remotely access it through your laptop or whatever. So anybody can participate, even non-UMBC people. I believe the estimate we put down was based on previous attendance. We were saying 90 estimated UMBC.
Yeah.
For previous times we've done this, how did you guys go about it?
I'm not familiar, but I believe we did the same thing. We ran the event on our hardware and the same thing. People are connected remotely.
And you were funded from finance board? Or?
I don't know.
I don't think they have.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely heard that we did do stuff with the finance board for this event because it is our main event and then years away.
Seeing that it's been 5 minutes, we have any motions on the floor. We can extend it to the discussion or voting.
I moved to extend it 2 minutes. Yeah.
Any seconds?
So I just have another question.
A little bit.
It's truly because I'm not trying to grill you, but I just don't know anything about this, like computers or anything. I just wanted to like make sure that if you were to just host maybe like a WebEx call and share your screen and people join, that it still wouldn't be an option to like host this, and you like need the equipment to run the programming stuff. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, the whole event are all basically our own website. So we do actually need either. Yeah, pretty much it's a requirement. We need either cloud funding or parts to run the direct
Okay.
costs.
Thank you. I just wanted to like make sure I understood.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, Mihira.
Sorry, would it be possible to change to a cloud system?
It's not what they asked for, in their request. So that would be something you would all have to vote on to see if you would be willing to let them switch that, but you can definitely not fund parts.
is there a precedent against switching? Allowing, yeah. If you allow them to edit their request almost entirely, you'd have to be willing to do the same thing for other orgs. And that can be kind of a slippery slope, depending on the reason why you're asking to do that. And my last question, is it 2 minutes over?
You're fine.
Okay, and my last question is, if we were to fund just the common vision, would you, like, without the equipment, do you not need the common vision, or are you okay with just having common vision?
Not sure what the common vision is, to be honest.
Like your flyer, the port.
We would need that as well, yeah.
Nicola.
Yes. So I believe we want to ask, so how does a SA Baja and SA Snowmobile, we can told they run similar events, and they get funded for stuff that's,
So theirs, sorry,
Go ahead, Tori.
theirs is different because they are, when they're done with their event, those parts are kaput. They're asking for new parts every year because they're racing their parts into the ground for a competition, and part of the event is building it to race it, and then they have to build a whole new thing every year.
Yeah.
They don't reuse those parts. I'm very familiar with building computers, so I know that these parts are reusable and you're not redoing those every year. You did mention this is like your own equipment that you use frequently. The board does not fund things for orgs to be able to function. They only for supplemental events. So like if Rubik's Cube Club, my repeat example comes in asking for money for Rubik's Cubes, the board's not funding that. They're funding event-based supplementary items, not things that orgs need to survive because we don't want orgs to be dependent on the finance board. That's not their job. So roundabout way to answer your question, Baja and Snowmobile are asking for parts that they're using to build, and then at the end of those races, those parts are not usable again. They have to rebuild every year.
And these parts are definitely usable from what I've seen also. Is there any motions on the floor? It's on.
I motion to move into the period of voting.
Any seconds?
Second.
No, any seconds? Any objections? Seeing and hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now under a period of voting. All representatives for UMBC Cyber Defense Team's stress relief budget, please type I in the chat or raise your hand.
Wait, I have a question.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask the question, but.
We are in a period of voting.
That's what he was going to ask about.
I'm sorry, ask your question.
Oh, yeah, like, are we gonna just, vote on the common vision or the full application? Based?
So if everyone abstains this vote, well, we can't revote because you're going to vote again.
Yeah,
I think this was for the common vision, $50.
yes, it was.
And rephrase how you were about to ask the vote.
Yes, so this vote was, of course, for common vision. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So all representatives for cyber defense teams, common vision fees, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. We've got 8 votes.
Is that for $8 or $15?
Yes, $15.
Okay.
Ruthie and Aya, please type I in the chat. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I want to say. This is for $15. I'll just create like a duplicate legislation, I guess, for the other fees. Because this is for competition. What do you think?
I think this legislation states you're only funding common vision
Perfect.
at $15.
Are there any other funding that we're voting on? Because it's against my ones. Perfect. Thank you so much all for your participation, for contributions. Thank you so much for being here, Nicola. And can someone want Nicola? Small, thank you so much.
I did, just real quick, I did look from past allocations for this event when it happened in person. Boards fund the EDCS events, so like there were reservations when it wasn't online, but never be.
Do you know who we could talk to regarding the cloud funding or?
OIA is a good source for fundraising,
So,
options of institutional advancement.
gotcha.
Yeah, they work with a lot of companies and stuff like that for fundraising and things like that.
Okay.
And also there's a club outside for.
Next up is Austin.
Thank you for coming.
It's for. Oh,
Say that about moving on.
Sure, I apologize for that. I wasn't too sure myself.
Fine.
Thank you, everyone.
A lot of pressure.
We have a representative from Pearl Power in the meeting. I think it's Adana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adani Kekwe. I'm president of Curl Power. So if you have any questions about our requests, just let me know.
Sure. Adana, can you please introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, and a little bit about your request?
Okay. My name is Adana. I'm president of Curl Power. Pronouns are she, her, and hers. And for our request, our money mainly is for our Swaparama event, which will happen next semester. And it's basically for people to have a space where they can like basically switch clothes without paying for clothes. So it's kind of like a thrift store. That's like our ideal for it. So people can be able to get clothes because we know that a lot of college students aren't able to buy clothes for a lot of money. So we just want to be able to have a space where we can be able to do that.
Thank you.
Point of clarification. Hi there, this is Tori. You can't see me off screen. We are actually not looking at Swaparama tonight. We're looking at movie night.
Okay. Yes.
So thank you for that explanation for when we do look at Swaparama. But could you also explain movie night, please?
Yeah. So yeah, movie night is just we want to have a movie that's centered around African American or Black hair, and we basically want to have some type of food and also like money so that we can be able to get the movie. And yeah, so that's just where that comes from.
Any motions on the floor? Imani,
I'm motioning to move into a period of discussion.
any seconds?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing no objections, we're under general consent. We are now in a period of discussion for Pearl Power's movie night monthly budget request. Fiona,
The only request I see is for $50, but I know Adana mentioned funding for a movie, so I'm not quite sure what that plays in.
Yeah.
yeah, Donna, can you clarify on that a bit?
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be for decorations. It was supposed to be for food and for the movie. I'm not sure why it's under that.
Sure.
Hi, so just for movie nights, I don't know how familiar you are with them, but if you are showing a movie, there is a cost associated to that to buy the rights, just so you're aware. So making sure that you do look into that. Additionally, I was wondering who this event is targeted for.
It's targeted for the people in our club and like anyone else that wants to come. It's not specifically for our members only.
And a quick follow-up question. It'll be advertised on my UMBC and platforms for all
Yeah.
students. Okay,
Yeah.
so quickly, I have a question in the chat. Do you guys have the right to the movie?
We do not at this moment.
Okay. Imani?
Hi, I know you mentioned, did you say that you guys needed funding for food as well for this event?
Yeah.
Oh, on the application, it doesn't say anything about food, it says stuff about decorations.
Yeah. So this request would only be for decorations.
Okay.
Yeah. Mahira?
Since we can't really fund the things that were on the application, I would fund $50 for the decoration.
Nice. Spawn?
Um, my only concern was like, if we ended up like funding the $50, like, what's the point if they give rights for the movie? And
Tori.
Just a point of clarification, that's not really our concern. I don't want us to be in the habit of, if we can't fund this, can the event happen, so we should fund nothing?
Yeah.
Because you just funded cyber defense $15 for marketing, even though you didn't fund the rest of their event. So just to keep that in mind, that there are other options for orgs to go about to get funding, even if they don't get it here. So just not to get in the habit of that.
Yes. Any other motions, Mike?
Could we not staple this event? Cause it seems like he does want more, or is that like another type of sugar, I can't even say that, slow thing that would happen? Cause it sounds like they want money for food and everything else, but it wasn't put into the questions.
I believe we can't add items
Correct.
to the budget request. So we can only consider the decorations because that's the only thing that was submitted for the application itself.
Okay.
Any motions? It's been more than 5 minutes. Deb?
This is like what I'm thinking, I'm leaning a little bit towards no, only because, like you said, some of the things that they're looking for their event, they can't have because they didn't do that in their application. And as well as the fact that they don't have rights to the movie yet, I don't know how they're, if they're gonna go about to me as well, so I'm just like leaning towards no.
Manira?
I think, I personally think it doesn't matter, like, how they end up going about it. I think we should still fund the 50, because it doesn't, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't matter what they do with it. But, that's what I think we should fund.
Sure. And we have two comments in the chat. So Aya says, so clarification, we can only give $50 for decorations, question mark, do they have to use that decorations only? So I believe we can only give $50 for decorations, but I don't know if they can use for any clarification on that.
So they would, if they wanted to spend the 50 on something else, they would have to fill out a reallocation form, which then, I don't know, everyone has to sign that, but essentially I'm pretty sure Shruti would have to see it and Aya would definitely have to see it. Potentially also Mershad, but I don't think so because Mershad, it would be Aya's signature. So yes, but it would need to be approved by, I'm assuming both of them, if not just one.
So in allocation, she has to submit it. Shruti asks, can it happen at the public policy at Atrium?
Food cannot.
Food cannot, since they're asking for decorations only. Sure. And I mentioned reading Rashad's signature only for things that are over 200, so IS can be good. All right, so any motions currently?
I would to enter here.
5 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry.
I second.
I know we're in a bit of voting for, did you have any clarification?
He said second.
Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm sorry. So there's no objections, under general consent, we're now in a period of voting for Pearl Power's match with a budget request, and we are only voting on $50 for decoration.
Ron, you're on the wrong doc.
Am I?
You're on FASA's.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
$50.
I'm on the right doc now. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate your cooperation. All right, so all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hand. Should you type I? Perfect. So we have 8 representatives for. All representatives opposed, please type nay in the chat or raise your hands. And this legislation has been passed on November 9th, 2021. Congratulations, Adana, on your $50 for decorations. Thank you so much for being here, and we will follow up with some more details soon. And have a wonderful night. Next up, we have the Filipino American Student Association. Do we have a representative present for that response? Can you tell the time, please? I believe we don't have anyone here in the WebEx. Sorry?
What's the application number?
It is, application for that one is 679. Treasurer is Allison John. Who's the liaison for that? No? Okay, any motions on the floor since we don't have a.
I move to enter a period of discussion.
I second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing we're hearing no objections, we are now in a period of discussion for the Filipino Student Association's semester lead budget request for their event known as, I can't pronounce this, but it's Pistahan.
That's right.
Really? Yes. Okay. Any points? It was one.
I think that like it was a really good application and it seems like a really good event. So and they also have their documentation from ACS, so really fun.
Here's one. Tori?
Remember how I said almost every org has something that we have to change? There's only like 3 more of those, and this is not one. They are not permitted to have food in the recital hall.
Yes.
So they're asking for 1,200 in food and drink, and that would need to be struck.
Right here.
So, they met with ECS, right?
Yes.
Wasn't ECS supposed to tell them what they said?
Oh, they did.
And they still did it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That was good. A good like little clue is if it's on those invoices. I don't know. Oh, can you see the invoice in there? You potentially pull it up. View for screen.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
So typically, yeah, just right there. Typically, if they've actually talked to ECS about their contract and catering, it's gonna be in there.
Yes.
It is not. It'll be listed as like estimate or like potential because that's obviously not ECS's line items, but they will put everything together nice, neat and tidy. So typically the only things that aren't on their invoices are like decorations, rentals, supplies, common vision, and even that sometimes is on here. So I also checked with Matt today. They have been working with ECS. However, they did not talk to ECS about food, and Matt confirmed they cannot have food in this space.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other points? Respond.
Did they request this food in their past? When the event happened?
In past years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they can't have it in the recital hall.
It's a code inspection.
They've never let food in the recital.
Oh,
hall.
really?
Yeah, they just haven't had it there in the past. So typically in the past, events like this would happen in the ballroom or there's a stage and tables for performances and things like that, but there's absolutely no food in the recital hall. That's just always been a thing.
Imani?
I think this else is food. I think everything else was pretty fine.
Yeah, so we're just cutting up food. Is the main general consensus? Is Bagheera?
Are we putting out dining room?
That's a decision for us. Imani?
No food, so no band.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Shruti?
Yeah, we kind of discussed this earlier, but we don't necessarily need to cut out dining room because if they decide to bring or get food from another, or if they decide to like serve food otherwise, then I guess like that's their prerogative, but like outside maybe, I don't know. But like we don't necessarily have to, but we could. So that's our decision, I guess.
Bagheera?
I think I just forgot, but can they change the rooms now or no?
Not at this size, no. Not at this size of event. Essentially, anything that is over 50 to 60 people has had to have already gone through ECS, and space is so limited that they're very lucky that they have space in general. There's very few spaces on campus that can hold events this size.
I think we should still fund the dining room, I guess. I mean, what they do with it after. Doesn't really.
I agree, because I think they can submit an allocation form also, but yeah, Devin?
Like up here, but I was thinking that's where, the amount of dining there.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
$70.
It is $70, yes.
Definitely.
Usman?
So like, what if the food was gonna be placed outside of the side of the hall? Like, would this still be able to do it?
I believe not. Yeah, but also, it's been more than 5 minutes before you go
Oh,
to.
I'm moved to extend the discussion period for minutes.
Thank you. Any seconds?
That's it.
Seeing no objection, would, seeing no objections, or the agenda consent, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Okay, just for clarification, would they not be able to do what Usman just said because the people can bring food inside? Is that the reasoning?
They didn't, that space there is not reservable. So that space outside the recital hall
Oh, okay.
is not a reservable space. So they would there's policies around what you can do outside if you're not reserving space, and events can only happen in reserved spaces. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like if they wanted to do it outside, it would have to be at a reservable space, like Erickson, the Squad, not Main Street, inside, Breezeway, things like that. So just like having an event outside in a non-reservable space would get shut down immediately by ECS. And even if that space is reservable, they would have to reserve it, which they don't have done at this time.
I mean, like, the only reason why I asked that question was that I have seen the event happen at the pub, and they have a table outside of the recital hall where the food is, and people will just come and get it.
This isn't in the PAL though, it's in the fine arts section.
It says the public.
It's in the fine arts, that's what the invoice says, and I clarified with.
Okay.
Yeah.
FA recital hall is fine arts recital hall.
Yes, perfect. Bye. Oh, I have. So are we, so, okay, so we have the dining ware, like, do we? Yeah,
So if we do fund the dining ware, then that's just under the pretense that they'll be allocated. Because there's just no sense in funding the dining ware if they don't have food, and they can't even have food anywhere near there.
good point also. A lot of good points being made. Can we do a straw poll? Yes. Yeah, so, if you want dining where to be, and this is binding, by the way, we should straw poll. Voice confused.
I'm trying to think of the best way to answer.
Okay, so if you want dining ware to be included in our voting, budget, please either raise your hand or type yes in the chat. How does that sound? Small and should be. But since the majority says that dining room should not be included in the budget that we're determining tonight, dining room will not be. So I think the total amount thus far is 2,180, right? That's excluding the dining room.
I have 2003 napkin maybe. Let me do that math again.
So much.
3650 minus. Yeah, 2380.
23, okay. Any motions on the floor? Imani?
2380.
So you don't go with food and everything.
That is without food and without dining ware.
Emotions? Nail it.
I move to enter during the voting.
Any seconds? Any objections? Seeing no objections, under general consent, we are now voting for the Filipino American Student Association's semester budget request for the amount of $2,380. That's excluding dining wear and excluding food. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. I am interested. Perfect. Thank you so much. We've got 8 for. All representatives opposed, please type in the chat or raise your hands. Understanding, so this legislation has been passed on 11/9. November 11th. November 9th, oh my God, 2021. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Filipino Reconciliation. Next up, we have LOL. So do we have a representative for the LOL?
HLSU is, I think, right?
I think someone should be here.
Oh, yeah, she's outside.
Oh, she's outside. Perfect.
You say hello?
You're skipping on HLSU is next on the agenda.
Over there, okay. The Hispanic Latino Student Association, do we have a representative for them? Can you check for me, please? Thank you.
While we're like in between things, at the very, very end of the meeting, can I take the like photo from my thing? It's so like, just don't look at it.
No worries.
Okay.
What else do we have to be? This one,
We have space for 2 people.
I can get.
We have 2 chairs, yeah.
we have 2 chairs.
Yeah.
Well, the max capacity for the room is chairs. And
Oh,
yeah. So we have a chair, 2 chairs over here. I'll move this one.
I think that's good.
We can walk down
Here, please.
this way. These,
Welcome, friends.
otherwise a liar.
Thank you so much for being here. You're simply getting settled in. Can you please introduce yourself and your name, your pronouns, and tell us a little bit about your request for tonight? And I believe it should be La Reunion. That should be the name of your request.
Yeah. My name is Gabby Machuca. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
I'm Susie, I'm the president, I use she, her pronouns.
And basically here to ask for funding for Lara Union. For HLSU, we stand for the Hispanic Latinx Student Union, and we usually have 2 large events, semi-large. In the fall, we usually have an encuentro, but of course that was impossible with COVID. And in the spring, we have Lara Union. And that's less formal than an encuentro, and we usually just have a DJ and like small snacks, and like people just dress like semi-formal, and we just dance and kind of just hang out and connect with other Latinx students on campus.
Thank you so much. Do we have any motions on the floor?
I move to enter a period of discussion.
Thank you. Here, any seconds?
I second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion for La Reunion for the Hispanic Latino Student Association. Any points? Bill, Vanette.
I think one point we all kind of had was, I think, also it's nice to see you again, Gabby.
Hi.
Nice to see you. I think one point we all had was, I think the occupancy is a little bit too high. So I know, some people put in their notes, would you be able to monitor or decrease that in any way, like control the number to get it under?
Yeah, the event can be ticketed, so it's at capacity.
Yeah, I had met with Matt, that I discussed, because we usually do it in the UT ballroom, but I don't know if we're able to do events there. That's usually, like, we were planning to do that in Leon to make it like an encuentro, because that's usually what people look forward to all year. We didn't have it last year, obviously, because of COVID, so we kind of wanted to give, at least especially the seniors, for like, it'll be the last event, as nice as possible, and give them a good farewell. We've tried to have events now to like build up our, members, but I think we've been doing a good job. A lot of people are coming out again. So if we can have the event, like at least have our members and more, it's welcome to anyone on campus. It's not just exclusive to, Hispanic Latino students, but if we could have it with at least a 70, it'd be nice, but if we can't, obviously we'll accommodate to what the school needs us to do.
Thank you. And also, what's the max capacity of your stroller room again?
70.
70. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so their numbers are correct in the application.
Imani?
Everything else looks pretty fun. Besides the number of speed containers.
Uh, Devin?
Reading like that should be, meaning that it's over the maximum that can be funded.
Truth that you also typed me in the chat. Do you want to clarify?
Yeah, so I believe the total amount that was requested is 24, 30, 50, but looking at the per person amount that can be funded for UMBC students, it should be, the amount would be 55 times 33 per student, and that amount comes to 1815, and that's the maximum amount that we can fund.
1815.
15.
1815?
Yes.
Thank you.
$615.50 needs to be cut. Look at that, I didn't have to bring it up for us.
Thank you.
I guess, do you guys have like, any preference or what we cut from the budget?
I don't know how the process works for like hiring a DJ, but we've had like our members come forward and be like, oh, I could use a DJ or something like that. So we could look towards our members, kind of save costs that we would otherwise have to.
You guys also have any, recommendations for catering, because catering is really a big chunk of the money, so that way it's affordable, but also.
I would, so the thing with catering is just even if we have suggestions, doesn't mean that the price is gonna be any better one way or the other, you know? Your catering number is fine where it's at. I would not touch it. Because catering is also something that has a cap, so I would recommend getting your bang for your buck in that regard. So with the 55, you can have 825 total for food and drink, and you requested 700, so I would just, I wouldn't touch that part.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to do the 800 that you said, like.
You requested for 700,
So that's,
so that's the max the board can look at. However, if you do want to reallocate some funds after, so whatever the board chooses to fund tonight, if there's some areas that maybe you have more funds that you don't need, you can fill in a reallocation form to put it towards something else.
okay.
So are we allowed to like kind of move now where the prices are, like on the other page you had pulled up, like this page?
Yeah, I was gonna say the other page, it wasn't like something I made, it's something that like Matt only had like made for us. So I just went based off that, because I thought that's what, like we had to go based off of.
Yeah, so you will have, so whatever they have for like their fees cannot be changed. So that's essentially the one thing that the board tries never to take from is ECS fees.
Okay.
So in ECS fees, it is $530.50. You're also asking for 750 in contracts, 400 in decorations, 50 in dining ware, 700 food and drink. And that's it. So from there, 615.50 would have to be cut. The reallocations cannot be done in this meeting. That's a form that has to be filled out separately. I would recommend not cutting from your ECS fees.
Okay.
No, another question.
I don't know if this column really is on there, but if that's something like.
There's no common vision, but they don't have to, as long as it's on my UMBC.
Okay.
Here.
How much did the DJ cost? So we haven't looked into it, because we haven't planned it yet, we wanted to see, based on how much we were going to have.
I believe from previous years with, when it went, it was around 3.
So do you guys include that in your application?
I think we did.
Is it the entertainment contract?
Yeah, it should be, because we said we need a contract if we were to hire, like, we're gonna have it, but that would be with contracts.
And you mentioned that you know some people that can DJ for you potentially.
Possibility,
Possibly,
yeah.
yeah.
I wasn't seriously spoken.
Okay. Okay.
So the other things on there, like,
Does any of that include the potential for decorations, or is that something that would need to be allocated?
You've requested 400 for decorations. It's not on that. So
Well,
on the ECS invoice, you're gonna see what ECS is charging for the event to happen. And if you've talked to them about food or entertainment contracts, those will be on there. But other than that, based on what you've worked on, has whatever in there. So contract 750, decorations 400, dining ware 50, food and drink 700. So that is where I would recommend deciding to cut from somewhere.
Also, what is the amount that needs to be cut again? Like the full 600?
615.50.
Okay.
I would say the entertainment DJ and then maybe like the difference from decoration. Yeah.
More insights. Oh, sure did. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
So if you take it from your contracts, that would leave 134.50 in your contract.
Yeah, which is. Oh, yeah.
No, you need to remove $615 from this.
From just this, or from like the other sheets too? Like is it?
I would recommend just from here because the ECS fees, if those don't get paid, the event doesn't happen
Yes.
at all. These are like supplemental things that make the event better.
About it.
Is it possible to cut the decorations?
Yeah, I would say.
And then take the rest from the contracts?
yeah, that's fine.
So what,
How much do you guys want to cut from decoration?
Okay.
you'll still have some money for contracts,
Yeah.
which is not as much as you initially requested, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I think we'll do 150 for decoration and then the remaining check.
Yeah. What is it?
Total amount possible is 1815.
1815.
Yes. All right, so that would leave contracts at 284.50.
Wait, it was 200 from decoration?
You said 150.
150 for
Oh,
decoration.
150.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do 200 from decor?
And also just to clarify, you can reallocate these funds later by
Okay.
submitting a sheet.
Okay.
Okay, so the max amount is 1850, with 150 being cut from decorations, and the rest from contracts. Yes, 200. All right. So
I will move to enter review.
thank you, Mayor. Any seconds?
I second.
Any objections? Seeing there being no objections, under general consent, we are now under a period of voting for the UMBC Hispanic Latino Student Union's request for law reunion for $1,850. $1,850. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. 6, Aya and Shruti, perfect. All representatives for, please type nay in the chat or raise your hands. Giving me. Congratulations, the request has been passed for $1,815 for your event. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm just walking and escort you out. Okay?
How can I?
Careful.
Yeah, so sure. But I can't, so I can't hear at all.
So I think I've been thinking about it from, so we can only from 18 15 because of the number of UBC students that are coming and we multiply that by 33 because it's the dinner celebrating.
Correct. So, no, so amount, there's two maxes. So max for food, max for the event. The max for food comes from the number of UMBC students times 15. The max for the event total is UMBC times 33.
Okay.
Right, next up, we have UMBC Lao. Do we have a representative present from UMBC Lao?
I think this man said that there was one.
Outside.
I think so, yeah. Do you know what makes it? Sure. I don't know if we'll grab them on his way back in.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Sit around you, please. Thank you for being here. Can you please introduce yourself with your name and your pronoun and a little bit about your request for tonight?
Sure. My name is Taylor. I use they, them pronouns. I am the treasurer of Cologne. We requested funding for Passover, which is a religious holiday that occurs in the spring semester. So we are hoping to hold like a small event, get together, provide some snacks, talk about the significance of what Passover is, what it means in Judaism, and some funding for a themed event where we kind of just talk about it before like people go to temple or have their own seders at home.
Thank you so much. Any motions on the floor?
I moved to enter a period of discussion.
Any seconds? 7 seconds. Any objections? Seeing there being no objections, under general consent, we are now going to the question on UMBC Hilal's Passover request. Devin?
Thank you. Applying to get. And then there is. One, two, and if you can't do it, so. Maybe probably want to do maybe something in the wellness center. And if we know ahead of time kind of what the weather's like, we might try to rent out a space in the commons. Just just to make sure that the wellness center will allow you to, some places out around campus it will, so you gotta. Or you book.
Any other points of clarifications, motions, insights? Respond.
I mean, like, it's a pretty good event for like Passover, so I think that like, I didn't see any underlying issues other than that.
Yeah.
Really.
And they're only asking for,
Oh, no, there you go.
sorry about that. They're only asking for decorations and food. That's what I found. Okay,
I mean, it's a shorten the discussion time. Okay, now.
thank you. And
Oh, second.
thank you. Any objections? Any motions for creating discussion on the voting?
And move to enter a period of voting.
Second.
Any objections? Seeing no objections, under general consent, we are now under a period of voting for UMBC Hilal's semesterly budget request for Passover for the amount of, look at that number for me, please.
135.
135, thank you so much. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. Perfect, thank you. Is it all representatives opposed? Please type in the chat or raise your hands. Saying congratulations on November 9th, 2021. Your request for Passover has been approved for $135. And it was a lot of walk you all. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Next up, we have SPS.
Sorry,
Thank you.
I typed in their actual permit, actually were in UMC and don't work.
Oh,
I
really?
just did that. And then it's typed out.
So much easier. Do we have a representative from,
Yes,
yes. Hi, how are you?
doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you please say your name, your pronouns, and give us a quick overview of your event and the money that you're requesting for tonight?
Sure. My name is Sarah Bowers. I use she, her pronouns. I am the president of the Society of Physics Students. We've been kind of like in the works over the past few years. We really wanted to implement an outreach, I guess, event for our club that we hope that one day would kind of become annual. Reaching out to the community about physics is important to us just because it is a subject that is often imposed on younger students as really difficult and everything, but we want to be able to show, especially the Baltimore community, and we're particularly looking to do this with Arbutus Middle School, that these students do have access to physics and can find it very interesting. So we plan to do kind of like a demonstration day. That's demos are usually ways that we can show that physics is like kind of in the world around us. So in order to do this, we'd like to be able to present a few demos like at the school, and depending on how the COVID restrictions are, we can plan on to having this outside, especially in the sense that for the funding, we want to be able to have enough money to fund kind of like an egg drop activity so that each of the students would be able to conduct a demonstration themselves and then be able to possibly take something home if, depending on, again, kind of the situation with COVID and everything. So that's kind of where our money is planned to go towards being able so that they can have something of their own to implement in this day.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Any motions on the floor?
I moved to enter a period, into a period of discussion.
Thank you. Any seconds? Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion for SPS's semesterly budget request for physics demo day. Devin?
Okay, so for this application, I guess the main issue is the ratio of non-UBC students. I don't think we can fund it.
Also, can you speak a little louder on maybe we should hear you?
Oh, sorry, I think just the main issue is just the ratio of non-UBC students.
Yeah, the ratio of non-UBC students. Really. Usman?
I mean, like, is it possible to make an exception and like fund the whole supply since they were doing it for high school and middle school students as a way to teach them about physics demos?
I don't think it is, but Tori?
No. Your budgetary statutes do not allow you to fund events that benefit people that are not UMBC students. So this is an event that is geared towards middle school students and younger students that just don't go here. Even though it is UMBC students hosting the event is not for UMBC students. So anything that is not geared towards coming back to UMBC, you're not fun.
Shruti? Oh, wait, no, I'm just saying JK in the chat.
Probably gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly what Tori just said, so.
Usman?
May I ask, like, what kind of supplies, like, were they asking for the event?
Sarah, can you clarify on what kind of supplies you're asking for?
Sure. So we would need to be able to apply like eggs if you're doing an egg drop, the paper, the tinfoil, like the materials to be able to actually make apparatuses for them to be able to see, I guess, physics in action.
Devin?
Would that count as equipment and reusable?
Just Kelly has a quick then.
No, because I mean, we're getting kind of into two different topics here, so I don't think the question I'll answer your question, but also I don't think the question should be about supplies, but it should be about the event itself, and would you consider the event in general? Based on your budgetary statutes, there is a clear answer. Those supplies that they are asking for, if this was geared toward UMBC students, could be funded because, I mean, those eggs aren't going to be reusable. You're throwing the foil away when you're done with it. Equipment is more fit, so things that have a power box, you're plugging them in, string lights, tablecloths, things like that that you're not throwing away at the end of the day.
We hear?
I think we should not fund because it just goes against the statute. Yeah.
I'm sure you mentioned in the chat, the target audience is, yeah. Any further simplifications or motions?
I moved on to enter a period of voting.
Any objections? I see no hearing no objections. Under general consent, we're now at voting for SBS special budget request for the amount of 150, and that's for supplies. So give me 1 second. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. All representatives of I.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. All representatives opposed, please type nay in the chat or raise your hands. 6. Shruti and I, please type. Thank you so much. Right, I'm abstaining. Right, the semesterly budget request for SBS has been opposed by a majority vote. So $150 will not be funded based on the majority vote for finance score. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. We will be following up some information. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have the National Society of Black Engineers. Do we have a representative from the organization?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. Can you please introduce yourself with your name, with your pronouns, and tell us a bit about the event and the money that you're requesting?
Okay, my name is Sherry Whitaker, and my pronouns are she, her. And the event that we're trying to do is a game night. Basically, it's just for UMBC students. And sorry, am I getting back? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Perfectly.
okay, it's just for UMBC students, but we want it to be like interactive, and we want to get more students coming to like our organization. So that's how we're gonna like reach out. And so it's just gonna be like a game night. We're gonna have games that they can play, as well as event like different type of games where they can win prizes and stuff, as well as karaoke. So it's gonna be a lot of things. We're gonna be needing like projection and like mics and stuff like that. So yeah.
Thank you, and I'm sad that you attended it, which I did not be here tonight, but thank you for being here. Any motions on the floor? Finance board reps?
I moved to enter into a period of discussion.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I have something.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion for the National Society of Black Engineers request for game night. Any points? Imani?
Hi, what did you say your name was again?
Chidera.
Jadera. Hi. So just for clarification, is this event to bond more the UBC community with your organization, or is it just for your organization?
It's for the organization, but it's also to get more people into the organization for like recruiting purposes.
Okay.
So we cannot, um, fund recruiting events at all based on our budgetary bylaws. That's one thing that I want to make clear.
Okay, well, I mean, it's still for the event, like it's still for the NESB members and stuff.
Okay. Delvin,
Yeah, I think the other issue that we're saying is even though the nursing members are UBC students, it's the nature of the event which makes it unable to be funded because it's a recruiting event and it's kind of a bonding event under GBM, which we also don't fund. So that's why we cannot fund this event.
any other points? Motions?
I move to enter into period 11.
Thank you, Fiona. Any seconds?
Second.
Here. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now under a period of voting for the UMBC National Society of Black Engineers budgetary, semester budget request for, the PM night for $50 towards decoration. I believe that's. We don't check. That's good.
Can you check the chat?
What's with that? Shoot. Shooting, you have, okay, too late. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you on that. But since we're in a period of voting, once again, we're voting for $50 towards decorations for the National Society of Black Engineers. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hand. All representatives opposed, please type me in the chat or raise your hands. I am shooting. Thank you, shooting. There's a majority vote. Collectively decided to deny the National Society of Black Engineers semester budget request for $50. Thank you so much for being here, Dara. We'll be following up with more details soon. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, you too.
Take care. Bye. Next up on the agenda, we have the UMBC Humans versus Zombies. They have two requests for the night. The first one is 698. Do we have a representative for the Humans versus Zombies for their first request of a week-long number 3 pre-game party?
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being here. Can you please introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, and a bit about the event and the funds that you're requesting?
Sure. My name is Chris Goodwin, he, him pronouns. And the event that we're talking about right now, the week-long number 3 pregame party is, in essence, it's a sort of game night. It's a party that is, it's meant to come right before the start of one of our week-long events that we run. So it would be all members from the UMBC Humans versus Zombies organization just hanging out. And the funds requested, I think it was $150. It was specifically for individually packaged light snacks / drinks, bottled water, things like that.
So, any motions on the floor for a bit of discussion?
I move to enter a period of discussion. Second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we're in a period of discussion. For starters, on the application itself, there's no amount listed. Tori?
Yeah, so IS team reached out to them, since they did actually fill out stuff in their application, just not the funding. both of their requests are like this. This one, like mentioned, is for $150 and the other one is for $80. Specifically like 7 food and snacks. So it's not in the application, but they did email Aya's team
Perfect.
about that.
Thank you so much. Once again, it's $150 for foods and drinks. It's not listed in the application itself, but they did reach out. Money?
Specified in the application that it's only for club members, so we can't fund something that's only for the club members.
Chris, can you expand on that for a bit?
I can. Our week-longs, like the events that we run, including this pregame party for the event, is technically open to any UMBC students that would want to join our week-long if they had any prior knowledge or if it was advertised to them. It's technically any students. However, we do require anyone who's playing in our week-long events to register with us as a club member through our website.
And is it advertised on MyUMBC and different platforms where students will have access to attending the event?
It is. It's advertised also through flyers that we hand out and also have in the Commons. But we do also have my UMBC events, and we also have our email list from iFest that we regularly send things out for.
Any other points, clarifications, motions? Bill Benet.
This is not for, and this is just, so from my understanding, they're using their carryover funds for this. Is that not what's happening?
Be a question to John.
Okay, are you planning on using in the application, it says that you're gonna use your carryover funds to fund this, is that true?
If it is on the application, then yes.
Okay, now it's for reporting. Does that have anything to do with us if they're just gonna use their own money
I would ask whether, do you know what you're using your carryover funds for?
for food?
Yes, it would be food.
So is that if you don't have funding, you will use your carryover, or you are just always planning on using that?
I believe it was a combination.
So if they don't get funded, they have the funds themselves to cover it.
But right now they're asking for 150 for food. Any motions, points?
I just have like a general question for the body, this, if they're able to fund it, is that something we should take into consideration at all? No.
No, because there's a lot, we don't ask any other group what's in their carryover account.
Yeah.
I don't think a group should be penalized for saying they have other means to fund if you all say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think our bylaws are pretty good, that there's no restrictions based on bylaws, and, you know, if they're being transparent about the fact that they can't, that shouldn't be held against them at all.
I move to enter into the voting.
Thank you. Any seconds? Do any objections? Seeing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of voting for Humans versus Zombies, especially budget requests for their pre-game party number 3, for $150. And that's for food and drinks. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. I and Shruti type I in the chat if you're. Can we fix the camera? There's something with the camera. Hi, are you there?
Oh.
Right, so we've got 7 votes for. All representatives opposed, please type in the chat or raise your hands. One abstaining, maybe. Under majority vote, congratulations, Chris, your first event has been approved for $150 for food and drinks. Moving on to your next semesterly budget request, is 744. Can you please, speak a little bit about that event and what you're requesting for the night?
Yes, I can. The second event should be our spring invitational event. And for that, we requested $80 for food and drinks, which would be similar to the week-long pregame party. It would be individually packaged bottled water / light snacks, potentially catering. And then there was also a second amount, I believe it was $500 for t-shirts specifically for the club members.
So the email only stated $80 for food.
Yes. And based on our budgetary guidelines, we cannot review any additional costs. We're only reviewing $80 for food.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Chris. Any motions?
I need to enter a period of discussion.
A second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in a period of discussion for their second event. Their spring invitational. Bonnie?
And we'll just take out the t-shirts. I think this is basically the same as the people problem before. Even if we were to include t-shirts, which we can't, they didn't submit a design for the t-shirts, right? They have that.
Yeah, and again, based on budgetary guidelines, you can't.
I'm fine with just funding the food.
Points, motions, clarifications.
I move to, unless everyone has another, I move to shorten the discussion period now to food and clothing.
Objections? Who's that? Thank you, Bonnie. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, we are now under a period of voting and for Humans versus Zombies, their spring invitational for $80 for the foods and food and drinks. All representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. I think I is still struggling, so. 7-4, one Excellent. Congratulations, Chris, once again. Your invitation has been approved for $80 for your spring invitational. Thank you so much for being here. We will follow up with more details soon. Have a look at that.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
Next up, we have the pre-medical society. Do we have a representative from the organization? Treasurer is Gabriel Rose. Also, who's their liaison? Does anyone liaison for them? No worries. Seeing that there's no representative present, any motions on the floor?
I move to enter into a period of discussion.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you. Any objections? No objections. Under general consent, we are now under a period of discussion for Free Medical Society's semesterly budget request for their meetings / study table event. They'll be there.
Kevin is their liaison.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so
I
sorry.
am the liaison, they have not contact.
Thank you, Smart.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say not to fund it because it looks like a meeting and, yeah, it pretty much looks like a normal meeting, like every other. Yeah.
I wish there was a representative here and you sent out emails and they haven't.
Don't shade me.
Tori.
In an email directly to Aya, they said that these are general body meetings.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
well, I move to end discussion and move to further voting.
Thank you. And what is the final amount again that they were asking for?
Let me tell you.
Someone pop it up.
To be fair, while I'm looking for it, because I'm slowly scrolling trying to find it, the things that they were asking for were not even gonna be able to fund anyway. Because it was like a bunch of money in ECS and they never got ECS. And knew that they also emailed that they weren't going to have anyway, so it canceled everything, canceled itself out, but it was $950
For future medical commissioners.
to answer your question.
That was off the record.
I have not had to bring out a jar for money for crappy things Ford have said in a long time that I'm about. Swear jar, but.
This is being live streamed on YouTube, by the way, just to know.
It gives him a lot to think about, because he kind of has a point.
So 130 or 150? Is it 150 or 30?
950.
950, perfect. Okay. Yeah. So any, all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands. Opposed, please type nay in the chat or raise your hands.
She meant nay.
Okay.
Look at the chat.
I at first, so. Under majority vote, this application has been denied. Moving on. Moving on, we have our last request of the night, which is UNICEF. Do we have a representative present from UNICEF?
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great to know. Can you please state your name, your pronouns, and a little bit about the event and the kinds of funds you're requesting?
So, my name is Priel. I go by she, they. So basically, we're requesting funds for our third annual gala. For this gala, we're going with the theme of a water slash like environmental theme that like corresponds to UNICEF's themes of action, which is water, sanitation, hygiene, and climate. So we're really looking forward. We really want to do this gala, especially because the last gala we planned got canceled because of COVID. So we would really like our request to be accepted.
Thank you, Priya. Do you have any motions on the floor? Thank you. Objections? Objections under general consent. We are now in discussion for UNICEF. Preferably budget request for the
Hi, Priya. So like for your application, you mentioned that the targeted audience is only for your club members. Do you think that the event is going to be extended for the whole UMBC students body?
Can you repeat that one more time? I just couldn't hear you.
Oh, sure. So like in the application, you mentioned that the event was only for the club members. Would it be extended to the whole student body?
No, yes, it would be extended to the student body. We would just be marketing it a little bit more to our members, but we are accepting anyone, any UMBC students.
Because like if you are only targeting it for your club members, we can't fund it.
Oh, I see. I mean, we were planning to put flyers all around like the campus. So although that we would first tell our members, we're also advertising it to everyone else on campus. Does that make sense?
Should it?
Yes. I have a few concerns. So, in your application, you requested the Skylight Room, and the Skylight Room's maximum capacity is 70 people, and I believe you requested, I think 150. I think it's 100 US UMBC students and 50 off, not UMBC students. So, first, I believe the number of people should be decreased per like ECS and the capacity of the room. So. First, that should be addressed. Tori, if you have any guidance on like how they can address that?
Yeah, I don't know if you were on the email or not, Shruti, but Aya's team did reach out and the new numbers are 60 UMBC, 10 non-UMBC to, fit the 70 max capacity for that room.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense then. Okay, and then if that's the case, my second question is, what is the point of the gala? Like, what is the ultimate goal of it? Is there like a reason why it's happening? And if so, like, what is it?
So during the gala, it's obviously a social event, but also we'll be doing a raffle, and with the raffle, we'll be submitting the money that's going into it to a charity, like to a charity that matches our theme, most likely environmental themed, like a fundraiser.
Okay,
So yeah.
oh, sorry to cut you off. So based off what you said, Finance Board doesn't necessarily fund fundraisers. We don't fund activities that are related to fundraising. And based on what you said, I guess that's the ultimate goal of your gala event. So if it were to continue, you would have to make sure that like the idea is not to raise funds, and if funds are raised, it's not supposed to be, I guess, fundraised. I don't know if that makes sense. Tori, do you have anything like clarification?
No, that was just
Tori?
we were just thinking of doing that, but that's not our main goal. That's just like a little bit part of it. We're looking at this more of a social event for UMBC students. Makes
Even
sense.
if it were to be a part of the event, that still would not be allowed. So like the only way I could see the event happening is if there were no fundraising activities happening, because there are other things that get involved with that and we don't fund events like that. So there would have to be like no fundraising events. So like no specifically no raffle tickets or any like prize tickets or anything along those lines. So that would have to be like a contingency like of us funding you. So again, Tori, if you have anything to add based off of that.
And before that, I apologize for not clarifying this at the beginning, but if you would like to speak, please, you need to be recognized by the board. But Tori, you're up next.
No, Shruti covered it. Just a point of clarification though, if this is something the board considers, your event will need to be cut down because it's over the max amount that can be funded based on attendance. So the current is asking for 2,650. The max that can be asked for is 1,980. Within that, your food would also have to be cut down from 1,000 to 900, based on those numbers as well.
Okay. We're also okay with not doing the fundraiser. That was just an idea.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the board doesn't fund anything for fundraisers or for personal or charity, because that's state money going towards fundraisers and that can't happen in short term. In summary.
Really?
Yeah, and this is one more quick thing. I guess it's mostly for Tori for just clarification sakes, but if we were to fund the total amount, I believe it's like the 15 times how many ever UMBC students there are, would that amount have to okay, wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. I would just would that have to be like adjusted for the proportion of UMBC to not UMBC students?
Yeah, so that number is only based on the 60 UMBC students with the new numbers.
So if it was 1,000 for food and drink, so it'd be like 6/7 of 1,000?
It would be 60 times 15.
Oh, okay. Okay then. Got it. Yeah, that was it. I'm done.
So sorry.
Sorry.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you're only gonna advertise this to your own members first? Like sell tickets to them first and then open it up?
So for our own members, we will allocate a certain amount of tickets to them. And after that amount of tickets are fulfilled for our members, then we will allocate another amount, like probably half and half, but like to the public, to the other UMBC students. And we will do that through not exactly sure how. For other UMBC students, we most likely will give out a Google form and open it up and leave it on our My UMBC website and advertise it around campus.
Timone?
How many club members do you have?
On average, we have around I would say like 35, counting virtual and in person.
Okay, so were you saying that you would give half of the UMBC tickets to your club members and then the other half would be for the public?
Yes, and if there's not enough people from our club like coming, then we will obviously give the remainder to other UMBC students.
So, sorry.
Yep.
So I'm feeling a little not okay with this, and let me explain why. The finance board funds events that are open to all UMBC students from the get-go. This is kind of sounding like we want our members to have an end of the year gala, and then we're gonna open it up to whoever else to fill the space. Personally, I feel some type of way about that because it feels like it's trying to kind of find a loophole. It feels like a UNICEF specific event, which is also what the application says. The application says the audience is for UMBC UNICEF members. And personally, I'm having some feelings about that. So I don't love that it's going to be UNICEF members first, and then we'll fill in the blanks with whoever else wants to come. That does not feel appropriate to the way that this board views events.
I see. I mean, okay, so this is my first time doing the application. So in the past, like past galas, most likely it was that open to everyone. I wasn't sure like when you in the application, like what you exactly meant because we were thinking we would advertise it first to our members and then, but like generally it'd be open to everyone. So that's what I thought of it as. It's not directly like only our members. It's for everyone, but we expect that more of our members are gonna be there. Does that make sense?
1 second, Nicola.
Hi, so first I want to say that I don't think, I don't want it to come off as if we're saying like, we're upset with you for finding a loophole, like that's not what was trying to be conveyed. But because you expressed in the application and like the way that you're selling the tickets, I think that's the main issue. So if you were to try and revamp the event so that it's open to UMBC like totally, just like an event that everyone can come to rather than our members have priority. I think that that's the main issue, but since it is your first time filling out the application, I can understand why that could have confused you when you filled it out.
We don't mind doing that or changing that to what you just said. Yeah, I'm not trying to like make it seem like it's only for our members. It just like when I was filling it out, it just seemed because it's like based around our theme. So
Tori, with them changing it to being all members instead of like what's on the application, that constitutes an application change, right? Which like, we don't do. Or since it's not like what they're requesting money for.
Yeah, yeah, that would be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That, the application changes that we do not allow are considered for what they're asking for. So like dollar amounts for specific items, or categories.
Well, I think that if they change, the priority for club members first, I would be more open to funding.
Says so too. Any other board members who need some this? Respond.
It sort of seemed like she already stated that like it is already open to the holding of research, so we consider funding all that stuff.
I would say contingent on the fact that club members are not given priority. You know, we're making sure that everyone is given like equal like I know you're advertising it to group me and your like organization platforms, but just making sure that there's no barrier or anything like that. Feel that?
How can we make sure of that? No, is what I was thinking. So how would they purchase the tickets?
So, go ahead.
I think it'd just be like, they would advertise it first serve. It does have to be all the equal opportunity. Like online.
So if it's a ticketed event, we better take this out. Can you pull up the invoice? Yeah. So there most likely is ticketing staff since there's front of house staff. So when there is ticketing like that, it goes through ETS's ticketing system. So it can be put in the legislation. And then ECS can be made aware that this is not supposed to be something that's, here's for your members first, here's like a pre-sale, like they would know better than to do a pre-sale, you know what I mean? ECS can do that in their end for ticketing like this.
Also, it's been more than 5 minutes. Can you have a motion on the floor?
What time does tension?
Oh, sorry. I put it all in.
Unless you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not excited to play on the green.
Any motion, the extension of the discussion?
Discussion had
Any second? Thank you. No objections. Okay. Any other concerns? Other than this one, so we'll make sure that there's no pre-sales to club members happening, and there's no priority given. Oh, sorry. Should we, what's up?
Yeah, just to confirm, like, just from my understanding, are we adding in a clause in the legislation that says this is contingent on the tickets being sold to everyone at the same time, as well as there being no fundraising activity?
Yes, and are we good on the yes and the no fundraising portion also? That's against our bylaws. Perfect. Yeah, never added something mid-meeting before.
We can do that when we go to vote.
Sure, perfect.
So before voting, someone will have to make a motion to add the legislation.
Gotcha. But as of right now, any other concerns, discussion? Imani?
So besides the, what we just discussed, do we also have to figure out what we need to cut this all day? Over budget?
I actually wanted some insight from the representative about this. Are there any particular aspects that you would prefer cuts in?
Possibly a dining ware, because most likely we won't be needing that.
Just $400 for now.
Is there more I have to do? Or
How much needs to be cut again, I'm sorry?
Let me do the math real quick.
Give us 1 second.
$670 needs to be cut, 100 of that will be coming from the food. So 570 after the food.
570.
is this just for event supplies or for other things?
Event supplies, I would say you cannot cut from your ECS fees because if those don't get paid for, the event does not happen.
Understood.
So that would have to come out of decoration. You said dining ware, rentals, supplies, common vision.
Okay. I also had a question. For the rentals, we wanted to borrow a camera. That's why I wasn't sure the amount that would be needed to rent that. I believe that SGA has a camera they used at homecoming, so we were thinking about using that.
I don't think that's it does, but you can do rent out cameras from the library. Is that an option or I'm not sure?
I feel like that's a thing, but I don't know what kind of cameras.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if they're like webcams versus actual cameras.
yeah.
To be recognized real quick.
Yes, true thing.
I do know that the library does have cameras, and you're able to rent them out, and it's like free to all students, I believe, for like a certain amount of time.
But is this different than the camera used like in the photo booths? Because I know that for homecoming there was a photo booth thing. I wasn't sure.
SGAs.
It was not STA.
That was most likely common visions.
Okay.
The $570 still needs to be cut.
470 if they're cutting dining.
470 if you're cutting down. Dining. Do you have any other recommendations? Yep.
Can you scroll up to people?
People attending.
Yeah. 16 UMBC undergrad.
I've been on it.
Who do they upload? I mean, how much money do you have?
1,000 between.
What's your estimate of that?
Isn't it 17?
It's 13, 15. Yeah, so what you're gonna have to cut is probably 100 out of food for sure, that's non-negotiable. And probably your dining, rentals, and your supplies, that comes out to $500. And then 70 either out of your food or your common vision. Oh wait, decor is 150. So 20 out of one of those.
Okay.
Or just. Or 70 out of decor.
Come on.
They already got their rental out. And I just checked on the library website and they do have cameras that don't seem to go with the price if you can rent them out. It's really more of a first served basis.
Yeah. Real quick, did you hear that?
Yeah, I can check the website.
No, Amani said that she did check it. It's first come, first served for a camera.
Yeah, for rentals. And that's something you can do later on, but, yeah. Any other thoughts, Brielle, that you want to make at this point?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So for what you have to cut completely. What did I say, 570, right? Or 670 total. 670 total, so. Plus 150 plus 100 plus 200. We don't know where that extra 20 is coming out of.
You can cut it from rentals if that's possible, or
Yeah, so you're already gonna have to cut all of that. So you're gonna have to cut 670 total, okay?
okay.
100 of that has to come from food. You should not be touching your ECS fees because if those don't get paid for, then you can't really have your event.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the things that aren't in your ECS are your decor, dining, rentals, and supplies. Those total up to 550. So plus the 100 from food, that is 650, and there's still another $20 that needs to come out somewhere. So it would either need to come out of your food or your common vision.
From Common Vision.
Combination? Yeah. How much is that being cut again? I'm sorry.
Sorry,
How much is that being cut again from the combinations?
20.
$20. Okay. Right, thank you for that. Any motions on the board at this point?
I would like to amend the legislation.
Do we have to be in a favor of voting first or amend first?
Amend.
Amend first, perfect,
Because if you're voting, you're voting.
perfect. Um,
So,
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, we will be amending the legislation. Should these actually be saying the amendment before meeting? Thank you so much for that.
I need the exact wording. One sec. So the finance board is considered this.
And what's the total amount again, one more time, for? Here's the cuts.
1980.
Thank you.
Good job.
The condition that there are no pre-sales. And fundraising being conducted. So much, Chair. Motion to approve the amended legislation.
Someone else would have to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, someone made the motion.
I'd like to approve the amended legislation.
Thank you. Seconds?
That's a,
Do you have any objections? The legislation has been amended. And any motions to enter into the period of voting?
I'm going to enter into the period of voting.
Do you have any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we are now in the period of voting. For UNICEF's request for their gala for a total amount of $1,980, for which $670, we're cut to kind of get to that amount. But yeah, all representatives for, please type I in the chat or raise your hands to approve the amount. Thank you. I am reading on your way. All representatives opposed, please type nay in the chat or um, raise your hand. So congratulations, UNICEF. The request has been approved for $1,980 for your UNICEF Gala. Thank you so much for being here, Priel, for your time and for your efforts.
You just forgot to write one absence. Not this.
Who's absent?
I don't know, because the number's not.
Oh, it's not? Oh my God.
It's gonna be 8-4.
There we go. We're good. Thank you. Thank you, Priya. Thanks so much for being here. We're good. Have a wonderful day, and we will be following up soon with some additional insights and information. Have a wonderful day.
Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, last thing on the agenda for tonight. Last thing on the agenda for tonight before we end the night is we're gonna have a quick discussion on the DEI framework, as an addition to the SBA strategic plan. So I'm going to give all of you, you've had access to all of these documents for the past few days, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes to take your time and read through and kind of complete your thoughts, and then we'll have a vote on this document. Does that sound good? Okay, so 5 minutes, please, just review your documents, legislation pieces and everything, and we'll have it. And just for reference, documents are attached on the agenda itself. Does anyone need any more time to review the documents? I know it hasn't been 5 minutes, but. No worries. seems like we're all good. So before we move into a period of discussion, just letting everyone know, this is the diversity and inclusion framework. It's developed to kind of guide the Student Government Association of UMBC to further empower the voices of the entire student body by recentering on the diversity, inclusion, social justice, restorative practices, and equity work. So, any motions on the floor to enter into a period of discussion on this legislation?
I move to enter a period of discussion. Second.
Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections, under general consent, we're now in a period of discussion on this piece of legislation. So,
Oh, yeah, I think it's great.
Well, the only concern that I have, like, it's not a concern, but more of an addition. It has no mention of the first generation network, and I was, I just wanted to clarify on that.
mention of what I'm saying.
For the first generation network.
Oh, good. I know there's a huge network at UMBC that they can also reach out to. Any other insights? I don't know if we can vote on this document if we have amendments that we want to propose.
Sound already voted, right?
No,
No.
not according to this.
The consent didn't. Yes. So that's a really good point.
Senate hasn't voted on it because they're voting on it next week.
Usually Senate votes first, and if we have edits, we have to send it back to the Senate to review and do. But if it's not also your legislation, I feel like the edits have to be suggested to go back to the authors. So my assumption is that no, it cannot be voted on. I'd rather play it safe than sorry, because this is usually Candace's area of expertise.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you wouldn't want someone editing your legislation if they don't tell you.
And one more thing, is this, what, are there any other amendments that we want to make, or is that the only one? Build it in?
I mean, this is like a grammatical thing, but there's a lot of like, not a lot, but there's like 2 or 3 miscalculations or grammar.
Those would need to be changed too, though, so.
Could you just make the comments on the
I would make comments versus actual, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, do all of you have access to the document to make your individual comments? Perfect. I'll just make them on there. Yeah.
Yeah, don't edit.
Don't
because
edit,
It's
yeah.
not finance or legislation.
Combining that. Yeah, this is fun. That was a really good point, because I didn't consider it, but I actually met with a lot of first-time people last week, and that's a network that they should be reaching out to, but Imani?
Oh, no, I was thinking.
Yeah. So we've got grammatical errors that need to be fixed first 10, but respond what else?
And you also like, there was a comment that I saw that you mentioned about adding the different department on campus down just STEM department in general.
Oh, really? Can you make that comment also on the list for me? Yeah. Appreciate that. I think what we should do is we should take the week, or not the week, but until this Tuesday, so until Friday or that Thursday, actually, we can make our comments individually. And once all of you have made your comments, I can get in touch with the board, top four, I'm sorry, and just have to look at those comments, and we can vote on it next week. I think that sounds good planning to me. But truly, I want your insight on this.
No, I would just say if there are any comments that we just make it and then we can send it back to Joshua, because he would probably want to know before we pass it with a bunch of errors.
Perfect, because this is being added to the strategic plan in the binding constitution. So we want to make sure that all comments are considered, but that's all we have. So any motions to table this to next week?
I move to table this next week.
3 seconds? Any objections?
A second.
Any objection? Any objections? Seeing and hearing no objections under general consent, this document has been tabled to next week. And the next thing on the agenda is announcements. Any motions? Move to announcements.
I moved to, I moved to adjourn period.
Second.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing or hearing no objections under general consent, we are now under a period of announcements. What's up, guys?
I want to say that I think when it was time to vote for UNICEF, we all had like a collective brain.
Announcements.
My announcement is that I think that's what I'm.
Wasn't sure if you were carrying a pass the gavel type of comment or.
Because this is being recorded, so. Devin?
The only announcement that comes to mind is that it's Friday and.
They can't go because the tickets are so.
They sold out the same night. Yeah, I couldn't even. Maybe you can watch the.
I put it in the chat.
Can we wear like our UNC badges and be like, we funded this event, so technically.
Let me in.
That's not my area.
Okay,
Don't pull me into your.
Honestly, those of us that listen to us quietly, will be like, oh.
That means.
Also,
Get my announcement.
We're back.
Oh.
We're back.
badges, we can put badges in this here.
We talking about the little thing.
Yeah, but any other announcements, because we can talk about this in house with the gavel. Like actual announcements.
It's an announcement slash question. I need to get my shirt. I never got my shirt. You're supposed to have some glory. I did, and she never responded. Yeah. Okay.
My shirt also, it was supposed to be, someone took it.
Okay. We can talk to Lori about that. Any other announcements? Anything from the SVA side, Tori? Okay, Gilbert is the main one, but fine.
I went to the SGA, initiative last night.
It's
Yeah, well, me and my name came to, it's pretty good. A lot of the stuff they're doing on campus is pretty, like good stuff to have for the students. It was a lot of, very important.
I actually went there too, but it was absolutely full. So many people were there.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was
They wanted pizza.
which is a really good thing.
They wanted pizza. I didn't.
Yeah. It's a very specific group of students.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was there.
What was it though?
It was really good. It was fun. You got to see like what everybody else works on. Because I really just see people in passing, never really ask them what they actually do.
Announcements. Meeting or is any motion to adjourn the meeting? Any objections? Any objections? The meeting for November 9th, 2021 Finance Board has been adjourned. Final roll call, I see Fiona, Usman, Imani, Devin, Magira, Shruti, B, Neil Benet, Aya, and ex officio member Tori.
At
Thank you so much.
what time?
At 7:57 p.m. Congratulations.
Only
An hour early.
hour earlier.
I guess that's the
It was
recording.
looking at me.
Ruby's the one recording, so. Oh, is that?
Okay,
Okay,
let's
let's
do
do
You can